Have you ever wondered why some people remain calm in the middle of chaos, while others fall apart at the first sign of trouble? What is it they know that the rest of us don't? Imagine if you could face life's storms, the unexpected setbacks, the critical voices, the daily frustrations, and still keep your balance. What would it feel like to walk through those moments with clarity, courage, and a quiet sense of peace? And what if the key to that strength wasn't about controlling the world, but about mastering yourself? About learning timeless principles, taught by ancient Stoic philosophers, that can transform the way you think, act, and respond to anything life throws your way. In this video, we will explore 9 Stoic principles that can help you build mental toughness that lasts. Drawn from wisdom that has stood the test of time, each principle focuses on a specific practice, with real-world examples and exercises you can apply right away. These are not abstract theories, they're tools for daily living. If you've ever felt like the noise and chaos of the world are pulling you off course, this might just be the reset you've been looking for. Principle number 1. Focus only on what you can control. Have you ever noticed how easily the smallest things can shake us? A curt email from a coworker, a snide remark from a stranger, a traffic jam on the way to work. Suddenly, our mood plummets, and the whole day feels heavier. Why does this happen? The truth is, it's not because the world is too harsh or unfair. It's because we often try to control what was never ours to control in the first place. In doing so, we lose our inner balance. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it plainly: some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's it. That's the line that can change your life, if you truly take it to heart. Yet in our modern lives, we blur this distinction every single day. We spend hours mentally wrestling with other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, or what might happen tomorrow. And in that struggle, we forget the only true freedom we have, the freedom to govern our own mind and actions. I once spoke with a young athlete on the night before an important competition. He was pacing, unable to sleep. He worried about the strength of his opponent, the referee's calls, the noise of the crowd, even the possibility of bad weather. I asked him gently, "How many of these things can you actually control?" He thought for a moment, then admitted, "None of them." The next day, his performance fell short, not because he lacked skill, but because his mind had already been tangled in the ropes of worry. He had lost the match long before he stepped onto the field. Think of life as a giant chessboard, but you're sitting at the wrong game. The pieces are moved by someone else's hands, according to someone else's plan. You try to anticipate every move, to strategize around forces you cannot influence. And in doing so, you exhaust yourself. What would happen if you simply stood up, walked away from that board, and returned to your own game, the one where you choose each move? Or imagine life as a play on a grand stage. You didn't write the script. You don't control the lighting, the sound cues, or the reactions of the audience. But you do control how you perform your role. And when the curtain falls, who will they remember? The one who tried to manage the entire production, or the one who gave their whole heart to their part? No matter how small, the practice of focusing only on what you can control begins in small, ordinary moments. Waiting for someone who's late? Instead of checking your watch and building silent resentment, ask yourself, What can I do with these minutes? You might read a few pages, write down an idea, or simply breathe and observe the world around you. When your child comes home with a poor grade, resist the urge to react with frustration. You cannot rewrite their test. Instead, ask, have I given them the tools to learn? If the answer is yes, then let them walk their path. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." There is something almost magical that happens when you stop trying to control what is not yours. Life becomes quieter. The muddy water of your mind begins to settle, and you can see clearly to the bottom. You know where you stand. You know where you need to go. You are no longer pulled helplessly by every current of noise and chaos. But beware. Letting go is not the same as giving up. Indifference is a form of avoidance. Letting go is a deliberate act of strength. The difference lies in presence. Letting go is like flying a kite. Your hands hold the string. Your eyes follow its flight. And there comes a moment when you know it's time to release. Allowing the wind to carry it higher than your own strength could. You are still present, still watching, still caring, but you no longer cling. And what happens when you master this? Adversity is no longer an enemy, it becomes a teacher. Challenges are no longer storms to fear, they're winds that can lift you. Steel is not forged in stillness but in fire and pressure. So too is the mind. Will you remain the anxious hand trembling at the kite string? Or will you learn to let the wind take you upward? In practical terms, here is a simple exercise you can try, straight from the Stoic playbook. Each night, take a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. Label one, within my control, and the other, beyond my control. List the events of your day in the appropriate columns. Tomorrow, direct your energy only toward the first column. The second column, practice letting it go. Over time, you will feel lighter, freer, and more in command of your own mind. In the Bible, there is a similar wisdom. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Whether you are guided by faith, philosophy, or both, the lesson is the same. Return what was never yours to hold, and tend well to what is. So I'll leave you with this. The next time something beyond your control tries to pull you into frustration, pause. Ask yourself, is this mine to manage? If not, gently lay it down. You'll be surprised how much peace arrives when you stop carrying the weight of the world and instead carry only your own mind. Principle number 2. Turn adversity into strength. No one wakes up in the morning hoping for hardship. We prefer comfort, smooth roads, and predictable days. Yet life rarely asks for our permission before it turns our world upside down. A job loss, a betrayal, an illness, an accident, they arrive uninvited, disrupting the lives we've carefully built. Most people, when the storm hits, ask, why me? But the Stoic asks something entirely different. What virtue is life inviting me to strengthen right now? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is more than a poetic line. It is a map for navigating every obstacle. The idea is simple yet profound. Adversity is not a detour from the path, it is the path. Without obstacles, there is no true growth, no chance to temper the steel of our character. Consider a moment in your own life when you faced criticism at work. The natural reaction is to feel anger, hurt, perhaps even the urge to quit. But pause for a moment. What if this criticism, fair or unfair, is not an attack, but an invitation to practice humility, patience, and resilience? Every arrow aimed at our ego can be used to strengthen our core. The pain we feel is often the sound of our pride cracking, making space for wisdom to enter. I once spoke with a marathon runner who told me that by mile 20, her legs screamed in agony. But when she learned to smile through the pain, the suffering stopped controlling her. The ache remained, but it lost its power over her mind. Life works in the same way. Traffic jams can become quiet patience drills. Rejection can be a lesson in perseverance. An early morning when every part of you wants to stay in bed can be the forge where mental steel is made. The more we avoid discomfort, the weaker we become. Modern life makes avoidance easy. We can distract ourselves endlessly with screens, entertainment, and conveniences. But in protecting ourselves from discomfort, we also shield ourselves from the very conditions that would make us stronger. Seneca advised, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." If we wish for strength, we must stop running from the weight that will build it. Sometimes, adversity comes in small, daily doses: a rude comment, a delayed flight, a frustrating task. These moments, seemingly insignificant, are opportunities in disguise. They are the mirrors showing us where we are still fragile. If we can face these small irritations with patience, we are training for the larger trials ahead. A soldier does not wait for battle to practice discipline. He prepares in every drill. There is also a hidden gift in life's challenges. They expand our capacity. A dam is built not just to hold water, but to withstand enormous pressure. In the same way, every trial you face increases your ability to handle more. What feels overwhelming today may, in time, become your new baseline for strength. The moment you realize this, adversity transforms from something to fear into something to welcome. Try this exercise, one used by ancient Stoics. When hardship arrives, instead of asking, "When will this end?" ask, "How much patience, courage, or wisdom is this moment asking me to grow?" Write it down. Treat each trial as a training session for your soul. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. Situations that once rattled you no longer have the same power. You have outgrown them. This mindset doesn't mean pretending hardship is pleasant or ignoring real pain. It means seeing pain as purposeful. Just as a blacksmith uses fire to strengthen iron, life uses difficulty to refine us. And when you emerge from the heat, you are not the same person who entered. You are stronger, steadier, and more resilient. The Bible echoes this wisdom. Count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Whether you view it through the lens of philosophy or faith, the message is the same. The storms you face are shaping you for something greater. So, the next time adversity knocks, welcome it as an old teacher. Ask it, "What are you here to show me this time?" Listen closely, and you may find that what once felt like a burden is, in fact, the very thing making you unshakable. Principle number 3. Control emotions with reason. Here is a truth that is easy to forget. We are not harmed by events themselves, but by the meaning we attach to them. A harsh comment from a colleague is simply a collection of sounds, until our mind turns it into an insult. A failed project is just an event, until we decide it defines who we are. The Stoics understood this deeply. Their aim was never to be cold or unfeeling, but to refuse to let emotions take the driver's seat. Imagine your mind as a large room, with emotions knocking on the door. Anger knocks, fear knocks, anxiety knocks. Most of us throw the door wide open, invite them in, pour them a drink, and let them stay as long as they please. The Stoic does something different. They open the door slightly, look each emotion in the eye, ask, "Where did you come from? Do you need to be here?" And then decide whether to let it in. This is not detachment in the sense of indifference. It is mastery in the sense of choice. Consider a modern example. You open your email and find a message that makes your heart race with anger. Your first impulse is to respond instantly, fingers flying over the keyboard. But what if you stepped away from the screen, took a walk, gave your mind the space to see the situation clearly? As Seneca wrote, you will begin to lose your anger the moment you see it for what it is. By creating that pause, you give reason a chance to speak before emotion decides the outcome. The same applies in face-to-face moments. Someone makes a careless remark, and you feel the heat rise in your chest. That is the fire starting. Most people fan the flames, replaying the comment in their mind, adding fuel with imagined intentions. A Stoic calmly places a damp cloth over the fire. The emotion may still smolder, but it does not spread. This is a discipline of awareness. The more you practice, the less control emotions have over you. One of my friends shared a visualization he uses whenever he feels overwhelmed. He imagines standing beside a rushing river. Leaves float past, each one representing an emotion. They move quickly, and he simply watches them go. He doesn't jump in. He doesn't try to grab them. And after a while, the water slows, becoming still. This image captures something important. Emotions demand attention, but they do not deserve obedience. The Stoics often trained themselves in this skill through deliberate practice. One simple exercise you can try is to reframe a challenging event as if you were a neutral observer. Remove all the adjectives, all the judgments, and describe only the facts. For example, instead of saying, "He insulted me," you might say, "He spoke words in a sharp tone." Notice how the emotional charge fades when you strip away the story you've attached to the moment. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This is the heart of controlling emotions with reason, remembering that our interpretation, not the event, determines our state of mind. This is not something that changes overnight. Emotional control is like a muscle. Without regular training, it weakens, but with daily practice, it strengthens. The goal is not to suppress emotions or pretend they don't exist. It is to stand at the doorway of your mind and choose carefully which guests you allow to stay. So the next time you feel anger, fear, or sadness knocking, pause. Ask yourself, is this emotion helping me, or is it clouding my judgment? The quieter you become, the clearer your reason will speak, and in that clarity, you'll find the peace you've been searching for. Principle number 4. Build daily self-discipline. When many people hear the word discipline, they imagine chains, sacrifice, or a loss of freedom. But the Stoics, and those who have truly lived with discipline, know the opposite is true. Discipline is not a shackle, it is a key. It is the smooth road that carries you forward when others are stuck in the mud of distraction and inconsistency. Without discipline, we drift wherever impulse takes us. With discipline, we steer our lives with intention. Every day, in small, seemingly insignificant choices, you are shaping who you become. Each time you give in to convenience, your mind quietly records permission to do it again. Each time you push through discomfort to do what you know you should, you reinforce a stronger pattern. Over time, these patterns define you. As Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. The myth of discipline is that it's built through rare moments of extreme willpower. In truth, it is built in the small, quiet, repetitive actions that no one else sees. No athlete is made in a single training session. No craftsman is born from one masterpiece. No Stoic is forged from a single act of wisdom. Strength comes from the steady layering of effort, day after day, until it becomes second nature. Consider this. When you bend a dry twig, it snaps easily, but wrap it with thin wire, layer by layer, and soon it will not break. Each act of discipline, no matter how small, is another layer of wire around the twig of your will. The question is, are you wrapping the wire each day, or leaving it bare, hoping it will somehow grow strong on its own? A practical way to begin is to set one unbreakable rule for yourself. It could be writing for 10 minutes each night, exercising each morning, or reading a few pages of a meaningful book before bed. Choose something simple but aligned with your deeper values, and keep it no matter what the weather of life brings. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is the kind of clarity that daily discipline builds. But discipline is not only about doing more, it is often about doing less. Less scrolling, less busy work, less time spent on what does not move you toward the life you want. Like a skilled soldier who does not carry the entire armory on his back, you must choose what is essential and let go of the rest. This, too, is discipline, the discipline of focus. There is also the discipline of self-forgiveness. Falling short is not failure, it is part of the process. The danger is not in missing a step, but in allowing that slip to become an excuse to quit. The Stoics fell and rose again. And so must we. A man is not finished when he is defeated, Seneca might remind us. But when he quits, true discipline means rising the 8th time after falling 7. If you struggle to maintain discipline, try this Stoic-inspired exercise at the end of each day. Write down 3 things you did well. They do not need to be grand accomplishments. Perhaps you spoke kindly when frustrated, completed a small task you had been avoiding, or resisted an unhelpful habit. This reflection reminds you that discipline is not a far-off ideal, but something you are practicing now. When you strip away excuses and see things as they are, discipline stops feeling like a burden. It becomes as natural as breathing, the quiet strength that supports you in every area of life. And in time, you will discover that discipline is not about denying yourself freedom. It is the very thing that makes freedom possible. Principle number 5. See events objectively without labeling them as good or bad. One of the quietest, yet most profound, shifts we can make in our thinking is to stop labeling events as good or bad. The Stoics taught that reality is neutral. It is our interpretation that paints it in colors of joy or despair. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Life unfolds in a constant flow of events. The rain falls. The sun rises. The market fluctuates. People come and go. None of these things, in themselves, carry a moral value until we assign one. Picture this. You have planned a picnic for weeks. The day arrives, and the skies open in a downpour. Instinctively, you feel frustration, even disappointment, but the rain is just rain. It holds no agenda against you, no personal malice. The negative feeling is born not from the water falling from the sky, but from the gap between your expectation and reality. If you had expected rain, perhaps you'd be smiling and pulling out your boots for a walk. This is the heart of objectivity, to see events for what they are, stripped of the stories we attach to them. It doesn't mean we stop feeling. It means we stop adding unnecessary suffering to what's already there. As Epictetus advised, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. If we can master the space between event and interpretation, we hold the key to our peace of mind. Consider a recent frustration in your own life, perhaps a delayed flight or a last-minute change of plans. Was it truly a disaster? Or did you decide it was one? How often have you thought something was a terrible setback, only to realize later it was a blessing in disguise? Life is filled with such reversals, if only we give it time to reveal them. The Stoics often practiced this skill through a mental exercise. When something unsettling happens, pause and ask, is this truly a fact? Or is it my opinion about the fact? For example, the meeting started without me is a fact. That was disrespectful is an opinion. By separating the two, you create a clear mental space to choose your next action wisely. In practical terms, you can train this objectivity in small, daily moments. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, notice the rush of irritation. Then ask, is this worth carrying with me for the rest of the day? Or, when you receive criticism, consider whether it is simply feedback you can use, without the extra weight of wounded pride. Nature can be a teacher here. A tree does not curse the storm that bends its branches. It bends and sways, then returns upright when the wind passes. The storm is not good or bad. It is part of the natural order. Likewise, our lives are a series of changing conditions, none of which are made better by our insistence on labeling them. There is also freedom in this approach. When you stop labeling events as good or bad, you reclaim your energy from emotional whiplash. You become steadier, less reactive. You see more clearly what needs to be done, and you act without the burden of unnecessary emotion. This is not passivity, it is clarity, and clarity allows for better decisions. The Bible, too, offers a reminder. Be still, and know that I am God. Stillness in this sense is not about doing nothing, but about quieting the mind so you can see things as they are, without distortion. It is in that stillness that wisdom speaks most clearly. So, the next time something upsets you, try this. Describe it as if you were explaining it to a stranger. Without any emotional language, notice how the weight of the moment changes. Over time, you may find that what once would have disturbed your peace now passes over you like a cloud drifting across the sky, noticed, but not clung to. To see life objectively is to walk through storms with steady eyes, knowing that the rain, the wind, and the sun are all part of the same vast and impartial sky. Principle number 6. Remember, death is certain. Each day, countless lives end without warning. Someone runs a red light and never makes it home. Another sits in a cafe, enjoying a quiet afternoon, only to have their world upended by a phone call from the hospital. Tonight, someone will lie down expecting tomorrow to arrive, but they will never open their eyes again. We all know this truth. Yet we live as if we are immortal. In ignoring death, we do not protect ourselves, we only make ourselves fragile, careless, and unprepared. The Stoics never turned away from death. They faced it directly, not to dwell morbidly on it, but to live more fully because of it. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." When you realize the finiteness of time, hesitation feels foolish, and procrastination becomes a luxury you cannot afford. How often have we delayed an apology, postponed a conversation that mattered, or put off chasing a dream because we assumed there would be time later? The dying do not waste their last days worrying about strangers' opinions. They do not regret the moments they spent with sincerity, honesty, and courage. They regret the words they never said, the love they never expressed, the opportunities they let slip through their fingers. Why wait until the end to live that way? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." For the Stoics, this practice, known as memento mori, was not morbid. It was a call to live with urgency and purpose. Imagine packing for a one-way journey. You would only take what truly matters, leaving behind all that is trivial or heavy. Life is the same. Those who remember death become masters at choosing wisely. This awareness strips away petty irritations. If you knew you had only 1 week left, would you spend it reading angry comments online, holding grudges, or wasting hours in resentment? Or would you reach out to someone you love, take the first step toward a long-held dream, and savor the simple pleasure of a shared meal? Death clarifies our priorities in a way nothing else can. There is also courage in this practice. Like a skilled mountain climber who glances at the drop below, not to freeze in fear, but to move with care. The Stoic keeps mortality in sight as a guide. Knowing the fragility of life makes us more present, more intentional. We begin to see each day not as something owed to us, but as a gift. Try this simple Stoic exercise. Each morning, as you wash your face, look in the mirror and say quietly, "Today could be my last." At first, the words may feel heavy, but over time, they become liberating. You will find yourself brushing aside trivial annoyances, focusing more on meaningful work, and cherishing even ordinary moments. This is not about living recklessly. It is about living deliberately. The awareness of death does not demand that we abandon responsibility. It calls us to fulfill it with integrity and urgency. The Bible offers a parallel reminder in James chapter 4 verse 14. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. The brevity of life is not meant to sadden us, it is meant to awaken us. And here lies the paradox. When you accept that life is fleeting, you begin to live with greater lightness. You release the weight of grudges. You stop chasing meaningless status. And you invest in what truly matters: relationships, integrity, service, and personal growth. Death, instead of being a shadow to avoid, becomes a compass pointing you toward what is essential. So, remember this: death is certain, but how you live until that moment is entirely up to you. Let the awareness of life's impermanence shape your choices, your words, and your actions. Live so that, when your time comes, whether in decades or in hours, you can meet it without regret, knowing you have truly lived. Principle #7. Remind yourself challenges are recurring. Some days, life feels like it's throwing everything at you all at once. You wake up to a rejection email, then get a call with bad news, and later, a small argument pushes you over the edge. In moments like these, the mind often cries out, "Why me? Why now? Why again?" But the Stoic understands that this is not the right question. The real question is, how will I face it this time? Because the truth is, this is not the first challenge you've faced, and it will not be the last. Storms always return. They come in different forms, at different times, but they are part of life's natural rhythm. The weak wait for the storm to pass. The strong learn how to build shelter while the rain is still falling. Think back to moments when you believed, "I'll never get through this." And yet, you did. You are still here. What knocks us down is often not the problem itself, but the shock of it, as if we had forgotten that hardship is part of being alive. Seneca wrote, "Disaster is virtue's opportunity." Challenges are not punishments. They are invitations to forge the mind anew. Like a blacksmith tempering hot steel, if we recognize this truth, each difficulty becomes a familiar visitor, sometimes unwelcome, but never a stranger. We can even prepare a place for it, knowing it will eventually leave, and we will be stronger for having met it. One practical way to embrace this mindset is to keep a challenge journal. When you face trouble, write down what is happening, how you feel, and how you choose to respond. Then look back at similar moments from your past. Ask yourself, have I been through something like this before? How did I respond then? How do I want to respond now? This practice shifts you from reacting impulsively to responding with intention. It's important to realize that much of what we fear in advance is magnified in our minds. I once saw a young mother in the supermarket, her child crying loudly while she stood frozen, tears in her eyes, imagining the judgment of everyone around her. But in truth, most people weren't paying attention. They were wrapped in their own concerns. The largest storms often live only in our imagination, and when they finally arrive, they are rarely as destructive as we expected. The Bible offers comfort here. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. Whatever you face, others have faced before, and you are not alone in walking through it. This truth can be a quiet source of courage, knowing that you are part of a long human story of resilience. The Stoics also trained themselves to be less shocked by hardship through a mental exercise called premeditatio malorum the premeditation of evils. Each morning, they would briefly imagine possible challenges, delays, disagreements, illness, loss, not to dwell in fear, but to meet these events with readiness if they occurred. By anticipating the possibility of difficulty, they reduced its sting when it arrived. In this way, hardship becomes less of a personal attack and more of a returning teacher. And like any teacher, it offers lessons: patience, humility, courage, persistence, if we treat each challenge as an opportunity to strengthen these virtues. Then the recurrence of hardship is no longer a burden, it is a training ground. So, the next time trouble knocks, don't slam the door in its face. Open it, invite it to sit for a while. Ask it, "What lesson are you bringing me this time?" And when it leaves, you'll notice it has taken some of your fear with it, and left you with something far more valuable: the steady knowledge that you can and will face the storms again. Principle number 8. Stop caring about praise or criticism. In the course of everyday life, none of us escapes praise or criticism. You work hard on a project, and your boss compliments your dedication. You post a photo online. Some say it's beautiful. Others call it fake. You achieve something important. Some admire you. Others envy you. The opinions of others are like shifting winds, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce. If your self-worth is tied to those winds, you will find yourself tossed about, never steady. The Stoics understood this danger well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." Praise and criticism, they taught, are both external. They reflect the mind of the speaker, not the true worth of the person being judged. To live well, we must anchor ourselves not in the approval or disapproval of others, but in the quiet confidence that comes from acting in alignment with our principles. Consider this. When someone calls you smart, does that make you more intelligent than you were a moment before? When someone calls you foolish, does that instantly erase your abilities? The truth is, neither praise nor criticism changes who you are. What changes is how much power you give those words over your mind. In our hyper-connected world, this lesson is more urgent than ever. Social media amplifies every voice, and the temptation to measure our worth by likes and comments can be overwhelming. But as Epictetus reminded his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If our sense of self depends on the applause of the crowd, we are easy to control and easy to lose. The craftsman does not stop mid-task to ask the passing stranger for approval. The farmer does not plant seeds for the sake of compliments. They work for the sake of the work itself, taking quiet pride in doing it well. Likewise, the Stoic lives not to please the audience, but to fulfill their role with integrity. This does not mean we ignore all feedback. Praise can be appreciated, criticism can be useful, but neither should be allowed to govern our sense of worth. When someone praises you, ask, "Am I better today than I was yesterday?" When someone criticizes you, pause and consider, is there truth in this? If so, I will use it. If not, I will let it go. Here is a practical Stoic exercise. For 1 week, when you receive either praise or criticism, simply acknowledge it without reaction. Say, "Thank you. or "I'll consider that," and then return to your work. Notice how this small act begins to free you from the constant rise and fall of others' opinions. There is also a deeper freedom in this practice. When you stop needing recognition, you can act with greater honesty and courage. You are less likely to compromise your values for approval, and more likely to stand firm in what you believe. Paradoxically, the more you let go of the need for external validation, the more genuine respect you often gain. In the end, the goal is not to be unmoved like stone, but to be rooted like a tree, flexible in the wind, yet unshaken at the core. Praise may warm you, criticism may sting, but neither should define you. The real measure is whether you acted with wisdom, integrity, and courage. So, the next time applause swells around you, or criticism comes sharp and sudden, pause, take a breath, remind yourself, "This does not change who I am." Then, turn back to your work, steady, focused, and free. Principle number 9. Embrace solitude. When was the last time you sat in complete silence? Without reaching for your phone. Without music playing in the background. Without the constant hum of conversation or notifications. In our modern world, solitude has become rare, even uncomfortable. Yet the Stoics saw it not as a burden, but as a vital training ground for the mind and soul. To be alone without feeling empty is a mark of inner strength. Many of us say we want to find ourselves, yet we drown that desire in endless busyness, work tasks, social media scrolling, casual conversations that keep us on the surface of life. We avoid solitude because, in its quiet, we are faced with questions we often don't want to answer. What truly matters to me? What am I avoiding? Where am I not living honestly? The weak fear this silence because it strips away distractions. The strong welcome it because it shows them the truth. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Solitude is where we can practice this, where we can strip life down to the essentials and notice the richness of the present moment without the noise of external influence. It's not an escape from the world, but a way to return to it clearer, steadier, and more intentional. I once met a man who spent 30 minutes every day in an empty room. No lights, no music, no phone. When I asked what he did in that time, he smiled and said, "I listen." At first, I didn't understand. Listen to what? But when I tried it myself, I realized, in silence, the mind speaks. It shows you your fears, your buried ambitions, your unresolved conflicts, and if you stay long enough, it also shows you the path forward. This practice is challenging at first. In the quiet, your thoughts may race. You may feel restless. You may want to distract yourself. But if you resist the urge to flee, something shifts. The mind begins to settle, like muddy water becoming clear. Your priorities rearrange themselves. Decisions that once felt overwhelming become simple. You begin to know what to hold on to and what to release. The Stoics valued solitude because it fostered self-reliance. When you can stand on your own, without needing the constant validation or company of others, you are less vulnerable to the chaos of the world. You act from your own principles, not from the pressure of the crowd. Marcus Aurelius advised himself, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Here is a practical Stoic exercise. Each morning, wake up 15 minutes earlier than usual. Sit in silence. No screens. No distractions. Simply observe your thoughts, your breath, the sensations in your body. If discomfort creeps in, stay. If restlessness grows, stay. Over time, you will learn to be with yourself fully, without needing to run. Solitude also teaches us a profound truth. No one is coming to live our life for us. No one else can decide how we will spend our days or what values we will honor. When you learn to be at peace in your own company, you realize that you are responsible for your own joy, your own growth, your own direction, and with that responsibility comes power. This is why embracing solitude is not isolation. It's not about shutting out the world. It's about preparing yourself to meet it with a stronger heart and a clearer mind. When you know who you are in silence, you are less likely to lose yourself in the noise. So, the next time you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the space. Let it be. Listen. You might find that in the quiet, you finally hear the voice you've been searching for all along, your own. Conclusion. The 9 Stoic principles you've explored in this book are not magic formulas or one-time solutions. They are habits of mind, ways of seeing and responding to the world that grow stronger with practice. Whether it is focusing only on what you can control, turning adversity into strength, or learning to embrace solitude, each principle invites you to step back from reaction and step into deliberate action. The modern world will continue to change, often in ways you cannot predict or control. But within that uncertainty lies an opportunity, the chance to live with clarity, courage, and peace. Regardless of circumstances, Stoicism is not about withdrawing from life's challenges. It is about meeting them with a steady mind and an open heart. Start small. Choose one principle and practice it today. Then, tomorrow, choose again. Over time, these choices will weave together into a life that is not only resilient, but deeply fulfilling. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let this truth guide you, and you will discover that no matter what storms may come, your mind can remain unshakable. Before you return to the noise of the world, take a moment to let this sink in. The lessons we've explored are not just ancient words on a page. They're living tools, waiting for you to test them in the storms and silences of your own life. Here on Stoic Timeless Lessons, we are not chasing quick fixes, but uncovering the deep, steady truths that have carried human beings through every age. Perhaps you've felt it already, that quiet shift inside. A whisper of strength you can't yet name. Hold onto it, nurture it, because one day, when the world presses hardest against you, that whisper will rise like a clear voice, reminding you of who you truly are.